What's up everybody, I'm Shane and welcome to a new you. How often do you think that if you could learn things just a little bit quicker, memorize things for a little longer, or just retain anything that you read indefinitely, that you could become one of the best people that's out there? I've done it. Now that I've learned to read minds, I can take over the world. Yeah, I can't teach you to read minds, but I can do the next best thing. I can teach you 7 different ways that you can learn and memorize things much faster. Number 1, take care of yourself. That means getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, getting enough food, and the healthy kind of food. If you do not take care of yourself, both physically and mentally, most of these tips aren't going to do you any good from this point onward. So step 1, take care of your body and your mind. Measure smaller units of success. Let's say you're a server at a restaurant and you've been tasked with memorizing an entire menu so you can accommodate any questions that the customers might have. Yes, is this prime rib? Is it imported or is it domestic? Potentially intimidating depending on the size of the menu that you have to memorize. But if you break it down into chunks, you'll be a lot more successful. For some, this would be taking things like the desserts and then going to the appetizers and then you move on to the drinks. I'm thinking smaller. When I say smaller units of success, I'm talking you take a dish and you memorize every single ingredient that goes into it and then move on to the next dish. So that way, as you're doing it, you feel the sense of accomplishment. Yes, it's only one dish, but that's one more dish than what you've had to do. You feel accomplished because you see progress. Shorter study sessions. This goes against a majority of what high school graduates and college students prefer to do. Most think that you've got to cram and cram and cram the night before instead of actually taking the time and do small, short study sessions. I'll have you know that my cramming sessions actually got me a pretty good grade, thank you very much. But how much did you actually remember a week later? When I'm talking about these short little study sessions, I'm not saying you study once and you're done. You do these consistently, repeatedly, on a daily basis. It's very similar to a musician. A musician will do a study session every single day. It might only be for an hour, but because they do it every single day, they become some of the best musicians around. It's also good because it prevents burnout, and it allows you to actually remember what you're learning. Do one thing at a time. It might seem like a no-brainer that you should not multitask when you try and study for something, but too many people do not understand this. They want to have their phone on. They want to listen to music. They think that they can study several different books at once. The human brain is not designed to multitask. It can truly only focus on one task at a time. So if you want to maximize your efficiency while studying, focus on one subject and turn off your phone! You don't know what you don't know. Some people are so scared to ask for help because they don't want to admit that they don't actually know anything. Some of the top people in their fields got to where they were because they were willing to ask, how can I do this? There are people who have spent years in the field and will still learn new things because they're willing to ask, how do I do this? So if you want to maximize your learning, ask the question, how do I do it? It's not hard. You can't be afraid to ask others for help. Even if you've been in that field for a very long time, ask the people that are coming in who are new to it. You never know. They might have thought of something that you haven't just because they have a fresh new way of looking at it, therefore making you even better once again. This brings me to my next point. Try new ways. After you've learned how to do it, feel free to go ahead and try different ways of going about it, because as they say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. That is disgusting. There's more than one way to wash a plate. Look, the point is, you have to find what works best for you. And maybe they haven't discovered what the best way to do something is yet, which is why nobody's doing it. And here it is, tip 7, my final piece of wisdom to you, and that is teach it back. Shane, I'm not exactly a teacher. You don't have to be. Just show it back in the same way that you were taught. And maybe, who knows, you'll figure out some other ways to go about doing it, just like in the earlier tip we talked about. Or maybe if you've had some problems in figuring something out, when you teach it to somebody, you'll figure out how to solve that problem because you actually had to walk yourself and someone else through the steps. Alright, there it is, 7 tips to help you learn way faster than you could before. And now, I want to teach you about that little subscribe button down below. When you hit that little bell icon next to it, it'll send you a notification every time I upload a new video. And the like button on the side, well, that's just doing me a favor. And if you learned anything today, I greatly appreciate it. Remember, you have what it takes.